Takes more than guts to be a gangster. It takes good ideas. And I hope these ideas help you. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your mob boss, GangsterKT. And today the mob is having a discussion, and we're just going to go through and have some rapid fire topics. So, have a lot of things on my mind. Nothing that was really a video in and of itself, but a lot of just little tidbits I wanted to get out to the mob. Just my opinion on some things. I tried to put my advice towards the front. So if you want to tune in to maybe the theory crafting or those advice conversations and then bail later, that is understandable. One thing, if you like my content, if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and put a hit out on that like and subscribe button. So not something I normally remember to ask for. I'm not doing this for money. I really just kind of enjoy it and want to be able to help out other players interested in these things. But with that said, I'd love to grow a little bit and have my content reach a broader audience. So again, if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and shoot me that like or subscription, and I really appreciate it. But with that said, let's get on to these topics. So first off, wanted to cover the Knowhere team. I'm going to go all in on this team. I've heard a lot of different opinions. I think the consensus is they should be good. It's going to be a war-focused team without specific call-outs to offense or defense. So that's really cool. Be able to have a little more agency there with how you use them. But I think if we look at trends throughout this game, while this isn't a guaranteed, it's pointing to this is going to be an amazing team. So let's talk about the last teams that had a legendary on them. Obviously, we know about the Horsemen, and sure, maybe some of those teams like the Unlimited are a little disappointing. But if you compare them to the other teams released over the past year, the teams with the legendary, the Horsemen teams, obviously are the best teams. If you go back before all this Apocalypse stuff started, the legendaries prior to that were Weapon X. Still extremely meta in war, still used in Crucible partly, especially with Omega Red the Legendary, Infinity Watch, and Axeman. So, those are teams that had a ton of staying power, that when they came out, they were basically the meta for their game modes and really for the whole game. So I think that's just another signal. The Knowhere team's going to have the Legendary and Nova, and they're going to be amazing. Also, when they come out with new teams, most of the time, there's some exception to this definitely, but the new tunes are the more powerful ones and the ones that see the full power creep, whereas the reworks are important a lot of times, not always. With Scarlet Witch, I think being the main one that's not important. But the reworks aren't normally as good. So this is a team of 5 new characters. Just another signal. It's going to be more of an investment, but I think that the team will be better because of that. And then, we all remember the Silver Surfer meta and kind of how things changed when he came out. I think Infinity Watch might have been one of the first teams out after Silver Surfer, but don't quote me on that. I really don't remember. But Knowhere Team's going to be one of the first new teams after this new Quicksilver kind of meta period that Scopely's been telling us about. So again, just another indicator that this should be a really good team. And then lastly, I haven't studied the kits enough myself, but I've heard other content creators that I really respect and trust compared the Knowhere team to teams like Infinity Watch, teams like Darkhold, where it's not going to be gimmick, it's not going to be just like a huge power. They're going to just be all around good and have sustainability, have the damage, just like again not gimmicky. And those are the teams that really seem to last. So if the Knowhere team's going to have the legendary, it's going to be all new tunes, it's going to be part of this new meta, and it's going to behave like Infinity Watch and Darkhold, I really don't think there's more signals that we need to say go all in on this. Plan for this team, save for this team. This will be one of the first new teams I'm really trying to go in on that I'm not buying new characters. So I'm going to be very deliberate to make sure I am saving up front. And when they come out, I can max out their levels. I can max out their gear and get them as high as I can, as I am still working on those stars. So my advice would be to go all in on the Knowhere team. And I think you will be set. So next, let's talk about gold promo management, and this is mainly for those who did buy that offer for the 2,000 gold promos. This advice will not apply if you don't have that and are really short in managing them like we used to. So I think the first thing I wanted to cover, there's multiple different ways to power up your characters, and this is not 100% accurate, but in general, I think about 5 levels is equivalent to 1 gear tier, is equivalent to a yellow star, is equivalent to a red star. But I wanted to make the note that the red star should be the last lever that you use for rounding out a team, but it should be the first lever that you use for the best tune. So what do I mean by that? if you're building the Invaders team right now, for instance, and let's say you have Iron Fist the lowest, and you're like, man, I think this team's going to do what I want them to do if I can just get Iron Fist up a little bit. There's 4 different ways you can do that. You can do it with levels, with gear, getting yellow stars, getting red stars. So what I'd recommend is never in a situation like that use red stars as your lever. Red stars are just way too valuable, and they really should be used to just make your best tunes even better and not to bring someone up. But with that said, who do we want to use all these red stars on now that we have? So I think one thing, when this first happened, I remember joking with some of my Alliance buddies. I'm like, the question isn't who to put red stars on now, it's who not to put red stars on. We're going to be putting them on everyone. But in reality, it's going to go a little faster than expected. As you've seen in my previous videos, I'm a big fan of taking up the best characters as big as possible. So I'm definitely looking at where can I get the 7 red stars out of this. And if we look at our roster as everyone having 5 red stars, all these gold promos is going to be 8 characters worth of 7 red star upgrade from 5. It'd be 20 characters worth of a 6 red star upgrade. But again, I'm targeting the 7 for the most part now that we have all these. So it's going to go faster than expected. It's not put red stars on everyone. And with my comments on the last section about Knowhere Heist, or the Knowhere Team, that's really where I'm going to be focusing these. So my recommendation would be definitely leverage these to boost your roster immediately. So for me, I think the 3 no-brainers there, especially the first 2, Kang and Weaver, put those 7 red stars on them to the point you have the yellow stars, especially with Kang, but as quickly as you can. I think Nakia is a no-brainer third there. It does depend on your favorite game modes maybe and how much you value war. But I'm just obsessed with how much value the extra power on Nakia does. And then the other 3 I have listed are Icarus, Kestrel, and Dagger. So I would add Fury there as well. Those are ones that I'm going to do, but it's because I had some of the other ones done or some of the 6 red star already done, so I could afford it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to target having about 1,000 dark promo credits, or I'm sorry, gold promo credits. Once this is all said and done and I do my immediate upgrades to save for the future teams. So I doubt the gold economy is going to get much better. If it does, then this will change. But assuming it's going to get tight again once these go away, make sure to save these, not use them all. And I'd recommend probably saving them for the Knowhere team. Could you imagine if you had your whole Infinity Watch all 7 red stars for the past 2 years? It's the chance to jump the meta now. We're getting that chance again with these red stars. So let's do it. Let's get ahead of the next best team. And it's good indicators that that's going to be one that's going to last potentially for years to come. So, next thing I wanted to talk on, you probably saw Kestrel was one person actually said there with red star upgrades, and one that I had her 7 red star, but that I'd still do immediately if I didn't. And that is because Kestrel is a gangster. So I'm seeing a lot of tier videos right now, which it's a great time for them, and people are writing her off. They're putting her down amongst other characters that I just blows my mind, and characters that I do think are worth writing off. But Kestrel is still a gangster. Yes, Secret Avengers have decreased. We are not using them in raids now that the Invader's out. She's normally been pocketed with that team, so maybe people are like, hey, they're gone, she's gone. Kestrel's passive, the ping that she has, and then also her passive is what stops summons. It's still probably the best passive in the gang, even just the ping. It's unbelievable. She will be plug and play in Crucible, in War, for a very, very, very long time, for years to come, even though she's still an older character. She might not be on that team, but she is always going to be around. And I'll say I don't even think we'll need to worry about her plug and play because Scopely's going to take care of their baby. So Kestrel is their first original character. She will be taken care of. Even if not buffed within the next year, you're going to be using her. So she might not be the best character in the game anymore, but do not write her off. She is still a top 10 character, in my opinion, and still definitely part of the mob. Next thing I wanted to talk about, this will be very quick, but Horsemen Iso. So just wanted to ask you guys, do you remember months ago we were all kind of worried Blue ISO was tighter for Blue ISO 4 and especially 5, and we're like, hey, we really need to make sure we get this Blue ISO 4 right on our Horsemen. because we don't want to have to redo it, and it could be different on their actual Horsemen team than what it is on the final Apocalypse and Four Horsemen team that we all assumed we'd be playing with for a year. So I just reflected on that. It kind of made me laugh. Um, my takeaway from there is, oh well. I guess that team's never going to come to fruition like we all thought it would, like we all worked for a year. And how funny in hindsight, us worrying about what ISO to put on those horsemen to make sure we are planning for the long-term indefinite usage of the four horsemen in Apocalypse, which never came to fruition. But, oh well, let's move on. So, next thing I want to talk about the Crucible season. So, a lot of videos on this. I've given my opinion on this. I will say, after thinking about it a little more, what they did with season 3 is how you lose players, right? They just copied the same season. I mean, sure, it reset, like we're all going to drop down, but the rules are a joke. If anything, they just made them worse. And I propose, if you guys want to do better in season 4, Scopely, just take away the rules. Let people theorycraft on their own. Just let it be open like War is. I mean, I know War has the room bonuses, but there's no like overall dictating things that are making the mode so cookie cutter. So season 3 is a huge disappointment. I think that's a big part of why Scopely's losing players. The other thing I want to touch on here, so I don't know if you can see that picture, but I finished last season at 1977, well in Masters 2 and getting pretty close to Masters 3. So I'm about to get dropped down. I would guess I'll get dropped down to Gold 3. I'll be or maybe Platinum 3, whatever the highest level is below Masters. I'll be thrilled if I can stay in Masters 1. But based on last time, probably not. What really frustrates me is they have never shared how they do this drop down. So is everyone getting dropped 100 points? Is everyone getting dropped, a level like the Masters versus Platinum versus Gold, whatever they are? But what really pissed me off last time this happened, I got dropped around 100 points back into, I just remember Diamond is the level below Masters, back into Diamond 3. And when I'd win or lose my match and you could see your opponent's rating, I was still playing opponents up in Masters 1 and Masters 2. So like if everyone got dropped the same, I'd get it, but it's like I got dropped, but then when they were matchmaking, they were still basing it off of where I finished the season. No clue if that's accurate, but I can just say I'm going to be really pissed off if I get dropped 100 points, 150 points, and then next thing I know, the guys I'm fighting week 1 of season 3 are still up in Masters 2, fighting me and getting better rewards for the same match that I'm playing. So I just really wish Scopely would be transparent and announce how they're doing this. I didn't think they'd planned on doing it. Then it just kind of came. So I feel like it's something they weren't even really planning or expecting. It just happened, which is probably why they aren't sharing too much info. But more to come to that. But what it makes me nervous if I keep getting dropped, will I ever hit my ceiling? So like I went 2-1 my last match again, getting close to the verge of Masters 3. But the season and dropping is going to keep me from that. So if that just keeps happening every season, like why even think about Masters 3 or Grand Masters? I'm never going to be able to get there. So what a horrible design in game mode. I really hope they get this better. Next thing I wanted to touch on, I've titled this the MSF Players Voice. I'll say what really drove this was seeing the video from Pathfinder quitting. So if you guys didn't watch him, Pathfinder was a content creator, much more popular content creator than I am, and I just always really appreciated that guy. I think he had some of the best Crucible videos out there. He had amazing advice, but you could just tell like he was a great man, and he really had a sincere passion for this game and for the player base. So like losing him, I almost think that's a bigger signal than Tadano Mac. I know financially it's not for Scopely, or I'd assume that, but he just like represented so much good in this community. And it's been really kind of a hit to me, to be honest, that he's quitting, and I couldn't believe it. So one of the first things I did when I heard that was I was like, man, I hope this Players Voice movement's making some progress. We need it. And so I went to their Discord, and what I'd say, if anyone from that movement's watching this, first off, huge thank you for all the efforts. I think the organization there for what's trying to be attempted is unbelievable. You can tell it's people who have managed large teams and work and kind of know how to drive agendas and those things. But I was a little just nervous about it, to be transparent, because it felt so scattered. Like it was an amazing wish list of 100 things that different people have different opinions on and want, and I think they're all great ideas, But like right now, I just worry the direction the game's going. Like that movement needs to be laser focused on high level initiatives of game direction, on this dynamic that it's no longer like combat power and battles that are getting us rewards. It's now, hey, we have to have this new team to G15 to get these rewards. Like that's a huge shift in how the game functions. And like I think those are the things that the players movement really needs to be focusing on, as opposed to like all the great things that could be better in the game, that are true, but like that's just not how we're going to save the game. So just my 2 cents there, but hey, I haven't done much in that movement, and again, huge kudos to those who are doing that. I'm sure it's a ton of time. So last thing I just wanted to touch on, MSF is starting to get some competition. So one, I think summer coming's part of that. People want to be outside more. But every day I walk my dogs, and every day for probably the past 3 years, I have listened to a Marvel Strike Force content creator video while I'm walking my dogs. I love it. I love listening to all these guys. Valley Fly, Mobile Gamer, Dorky Dad, tons of them. Pathfinder before he left, Run 7. There's so many good content creators out there. Dartek, excuse me. I'll make sure I don't miss anyone. But so many good ones out there. And I love it. And that's a big part of why I've started watching this. But going on the walk today, I had two videos that were options for myself I haven't seen. One was about how to max the events from Dorky Dad, a video I watch every week. He's got Scotty on there. It's a great video, entertaining, and really helps me plan for these events. The other one was one from Boylan called Play Now, about the Lord of the Rings game coming out. And I chose Boylan's video, and big deal. I watched a different video on my walk, but it stood out to me because it was the first time in 3 years I haven't watched a Marvel Strike Force video on my walk, and it just showed me like something's going away. I'm losing something. Like I'm so sick of how convoluted these events are. I didn't even want to watch a video about it. Like I just ignore it and then try and catch up last second and do what I can. But like really min-maxing those is so much headspace right now, and it's not fun headspace. Like again, it's not battles where you're powering to win combat victories to get better rewards. It's just simply like collection side of it, which this is a collector game, but that's not how this game's been before, and it's such a boring direction. I really hope it changes. So just stood out for me. I'm going to try out Lord of the Rings. I'm not promoting that. I don't know if I'll be making videos on it, but I'm nervous about Marvel Strike Force right now. I'm still having a lot of fun. I hope it continues and still is a game for a long time. But man, they gotta get back to some basics and stop all this crazy stuff they're doing right now. All the cookie cutter, all the collection based rewards instead of combat based rewards. Like it's just got to go back to how it was a year ago. So wanted to touch on that, and again, kind of interesting. So that is it for today, guys. Just some rapid fire topics. I hope you found this interesting. I hope this does help you. If you're still watching this, thank you. Congratulations. And again, please give me a like and subscribe. I give you my word that this is the best advice I have. All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Peace.